Hey everyone, it's Maribel Blue with a new Maribel Blue Unfiltered, and we're talking about The Bachelor, Real Housewives of Orange County, and of course, Married at First Sight. So before we begin, if you are new, welcome to my channel, and if you are not, welcome back. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave your comments down below on all of these shows that I'm discussing because it is a hot mess. And I think I've said that before. So, without further ado, let's get started. All right. In lieu of my cards, I have all of this paper in front of me. No, I'm not going to be reading everything, but I spent like, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, like trying to fix everything, trying to fix the background, putting this camera in instead of using the laptop camera. So I'm a little bit annoyed right now. And who knows, maybe it'll make for a good blog. So let's talk about the Real Housewives of Orange County. And I want to talk about one person in particular, Noella or Noelle. I think it's pronounced Noella. Friend of Bronwyn. Y'all know how I feel about Bronwyn. Don't like her at all. And I'm going to explain why I don't like her. As a person who's been part of the 12 Step Fellowship now for over 30 and a half years, I can't stand to hear people who have one day and think that they know exactly what they're talking about for their lives, for their life choices, etc. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about at one day. You don't know what you're talking about at 30 days, at 60 days, at 90 days. Trust me when I tell you, I have been there. And after 30 and a half years, sometimes I still don't know what I'm doing. So, for anybody to say that they have 6 months or more and now they're an expert on choices in their life, guess what? You're not. It's a learning process. That's why they say the joy is in the journey. So, for anyone who's thinking, oh my God, how could Maribel Blue be so mean about it? Listen, I got clean when I was in my 20s. Okay, so you do the math in your head how old you think I am, because that's not something that I discuss. But when it comes to things like that, I take it very, very seriously. There are many of us who didn't live glamorous lives and we're all stars one day at a time, every time we stay clean for 24 hours. So that's my gripe on that. Needless to say, Miss Noella, I have concerns, not genuine concerns, but concerns. I don't know her. She's cute. This whole I have this dungeon in my house thing, girl, that's not a dungeon. That is little trinkets in a room, red walls. I mean, I could do that right now if I wanted to. You know what I mean? Not a real dungeon. On the other note, her husband suddenly left her. She comes onto the show next episode, like literally the next week. Oh, my husband left me. He went to Puerto Rico. He served me divorce papers. Now, originally, when he served the divorce papers, it was given to the mom, but apparently, I guess through the processing server or however things work, maybe she was supposed to be served directly. And so he served her with a bouquet of flowers, which I find completely bizarre. It just kind of defeats the whole purpose of why you're serving somebody divorce papers in the first place. I find the whole thing suspicious. Why would this man suddenly get up, leave her and her child with nothing? Like, you are only making it worse for yourself if you do something like that, because basically you're saying F you, F my kid, and I don't care what happens to you. So I'm finding a lot of holes in the story as to why suddenly this man would just pick up and leave. It doesn't make any sense at all. There had to be some kind of a problem going on for him to just get up and leave. She just comes into this show through by ways of Bronwyn, I'm going to guess. She is getting a divorce. She's literally falling apart. She has this lunch with Nicole James. Here we are. We're stuck with Noella. And the last time that Nicole was on the show, she had lunch with her. She started falling apart. She was drinking. She was talking about, I need a hug and all of this stuff. The girl clearly is very needy. And you know what? Sometimes there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong when you're going through something and you need a hug or you need somebody to hold you and comfort you and what have you. But it was almost as if she was doing a performance in a public place. And maybe she should have saved all of that by maybe going to Nicole's house instead of meeting in a public area. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the things that she's doing is over the top. Now, they're all in Cabo, I think. Heather's looking at a $15.5 million house. I don't know where people get all of this money, but anyway, the ladies, they had scheduled something called not a sauna, like a sweat house or something like that. And I think for purposes of spirituality, because people are so out there with spirituality, nobody keeps it simple anymore. They want to take it a step up where somebody can possibly get hurt. And in this situation, they're in this like hut. There's like a kind of like this heavy sheet or blanket covering, and apparently it's supposed to take you, I guess, to I don't know, some kind of subliminal feeling, astral projection. It's supposed to cleanse you. And instead, Noelia passed out. She was throwing up. They had to open up the thing. They had to get her out there. They're like carrying her out. It was just crazy. And I'm saying to myself, like, you couldn't get me to do something like that just for the sake of purposes to cleanse myself. There are other safer ways to cleanse yourself than to do something like that. Again, my own personal opinion. They take her out, they give her juice or what have you, and she ends up being fine. But needless to say, for me, it's just a crazy thing to do when you want to cleanse yourself. Again, there are many of ways to find spirituality and meditation in order for you to achieve whatever it is that you're looking for. And you know what? If you go to maribelblue.com, yes, this is what they call like a shameless promo. If you go to maribelblue.com, I offer all of this. I do tarot reading, I do spiritual work. So if you're looking to do safe things as far as spirituality is concerned, where you're not putting your life at risk, just contact me, because that to me is just out of control. But long story short, with Noelia, clearly she's going through a lot of stuff right now. And this is probably not the people that she wants to get with in order to resolve whatever it is that she's going through with this marriage, if there is a marriage, because according to Jen, who's another person on the show, it's not a real marriage. She's another one. She has a like some kind of a bone disease, and she has to work out, like she has to keep her body moving and all of this stuff. And she got angry at her husband and she was crying, but she was crying when she was in pain. And I can understand that to a certain level, because there have been times that I had pain in my back and it's kept me up all night. And I cried too, because it's not fun when you're in constant pain and there's nothing that's taking it away from you. But it is very clear that Jen does not like Noella at all. And neither does Heather. She told her that she may not be the kind of friend like to have like a friendship or what have you. I forget the words that she says. You can't, I don't think I'm the kind of friend you want or something like that. Noella is, she just came into the show. She's bad mouthing everyone. She's calling everybody a bitch in some form or another. And it's not a good look. It's not a good look if you want to be on this type of show and then you're bad mouthing everybody that apparently you want to be friends with. To we're going to move on to The Bachelor, but I definitely want to put in a note here for about Shannon and that whole thing that happened in the beginning with Emily and Gina and Shannon sharing this information. Shannon doesn't understand the boundaries of when it comes to gossip per se. It's not a good look for you. I worked with people at a job where there was one woman when I moved out here, in case she's watching so that she knows that I'm talking about her, that she was a very big gossiper. She wasn't very smart at all. But she loved to gossip about other people. She loved infiltrating herself in other people's lives. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's just not a good look. Maybe you should just keep the focus on yourself and your own life, and then things will be better, right? Moving on. Okay, so let's talk about The Bachelor. Clayton Eckert. I don't know. Sometimes I look at him and he kind of reminds me of somebody that I know, but then it kind of like grosses me out that he reminds me of somebody. So maybe that's why I look at him with, but anyway, that was mean. I'm sorry, I'm not. Um, okay, so let's basically get down to the nitty gritty of what's been going on with this chick, Shanae. At first, to me, it was a whole comedy. Last week, she got really upset. She lost that football game because they were having like this football contest, and of course, the winning team gets to spend time with him. These group dates are just so awful. They really are about degrading others. They're not about uplifting women at all. And this is the reason why I don't like this show. I mean, I watch it, yes, and I'm supporting the craziness, so to speak, because I'm watching it. Do you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I don't know why women think that finding real love in this way, in this unconventional way. And again, there are some couples who have found love through this show, and a lot of them, you don't see them in front of the television, well, except for Rachel, because that's all she wants to do. But anyway, needless to say, I think that success rate really relies on whether or not these two people, whoever they are, through past seasons, find love on this show. I could imagine how difficult it is to display yourself on television and really be vulnerable to everything that the cameras are pointing at, basically. Janae, however, I don't believe that this woman is pulling an act at all. It really dawned on me when I was watching on Monday. Today's Wednesday. I'm recording this on a Wednesday. It'll probably go up over the weekend. But yeah, I realized, I was like, okay, you know what? She's being nasty. She's being like the evil villain of the show because we've had all of them in the past, right? But at the same time, it's almost as if there's something really disturbing going on that had convinced me on Monday's episode that this is not an act at all. This is a real person with real potential problems, or should I put potential real problems? There has to be a way for me to put it so that I don't sound like I'm diagnosing her, because I'm not a doctor and I'm not going to pretend to be one. But as a person, as a woman watching the other side of the television screen, and I'm saying to myself, does she not hear herself? Does she not see the things that she's doing? She's going on a 2-on-1 with Genevieve and she's talking about throwing her over Niagara Falls. Like, do you know how that sounds? It doesn't sound very nice, if you get my drift. You know what I mean? Because you know what happens if somebody falls into that water. So, why in her mind does she think that her behavior is normal when it's not? Like, where are her family and friends? Like, didn't they see something that was going on? There's so many questions right now in my head with all of this. This goes beyond shrimp. This goes beyond being ignored. This goes beyond making fun of somebody who has ADD. As you know by now, Elizabeth got thrown off last week, and I'm shocked behind that. But then at the same time, I'm saying to myself, Clayton, are you dumb? Like what happened in you? Was it during football or something like that? Did something happen? Did something loosen in your head? I have no idea. But it's funny how everybody, okay, has told him about Shanae, but yet he still continues to give this woman another chance, which is beyond me. I think in other bachelors past, when they have heard women that have not been good to other women or things that they said, guess what? That woman went right home. He didn't have a problem getting rid of Claire or whatever her name was when she was talking about how she hates him and that's not the guy for him. He didn't have a problem getting rid of Cassidy. So what is it with Shanae that he just continues to keep her around? Come on, little head. You can't be that larger than head up on the shoulders to make choices for you, Mr. Clayton. It doesn't make any sense. Looking at towards the end, okay, because I think a while back when I was reading some other blogs, it had mentioned about that we already know who the final three are. Clearly Teddy is going to be sent home at some point. I don't know if it's because she's a virgin. Like, I have no idea what the situation is. I'm really trying not to cheat, to be honest with you. I'm not trying to go on reality, Steve. I'm not trying to dig for information because sometimes I think it's just more entertaining coming from an authentic point of view where I haven't looked at other blogs to see what exactly is going on. Clearly something happened between him and Gabby because she seemed to be the one that was like pushing the cameras away. At least that's the way it looked to me, that she kept something from him. I don't know what that secret is. I'm not looking it up, so I really don't know what that's. The three women that I had seen, Gabby, Sarah, and the airplane girl, I think her name is Rachel. Sometimes I can't remember their names. There's so many people that I'm trying to remember. It's just really another shit show. That's the way I look at it. It's everything that's going on with this season. It's so wrong on every level to keep someone so insane. And again, props to Sierra when he sent her home, because I knew that was going to happen. I knew he was going to send her home. And I don't think he sent her home because of the things that she was saying. And maybe it was because of that. Because think about it. Every time they had a conversation, I don't think that they made out or anything like that. Not that I could remember. But what I remember is every conversation that Sierra and Clayton had, Sierra was busy warning him about Cassidy. She was warning him about Shanae. Okay. And not only that, too, but on the group date, when Shanae threw that trophy in the water and he confronted all of the women and they all told him the same story. And then he goes over to Shanae and she tells him, oh, yeah, I did that, but I didn't mean it or whatever. Come on. The bottom line is that there is something not right with this woman. And Clayton has some choices to make. Now, again, of course, it ended on a cliffhanger, and he has that 2-on-1 with Genevieve and Shanae. I don't know who's going home. I have no clue. At this point right now, I'm going to take a guess that Shanae will be the one going home. But then again, just because it's a 2-on-1 and one gets to stay and one gets to go, both of them can go because we've seen that happen before. All right. So that's all I have on The Bachelor. Moving on. If you stayed this long enough, because I'm really trying to make this short and sweet and entertaining, we are now talking about Married at First Sight. Now, this week's episode, everybody's still on the honeymoons, still lots of drama going on. Okay, let's talk about Mike and Lindsay. I don't think this is going to work out. I'm still at the place of this relationship is not going to work out. And I say this because Mike seems to be, I keep calling him Mike. That's another thing. His name is Mark. I screwed it up in the last blog. For some reason, to me, he looks like a Mike, but his name is Mark. Okay, let me just correct myself from here on in. And I even wrote it in my notes. Okay, you probably can't see it because it's blurry, but yes, his name is Mark. So, Mark and Lindsay. And let's go back to why I think that it's not going to work out between Mark and Lindsay. I think Mark is having a serious rude awakening about Lindsay and her behavior. He had mentioned about her drinking. Now, remember when they got married, what was she doing? She was drinking away. You know, that wasn't soda in the bottle, even though it was in a soda bottle, you know, it was mixed with something. She was all over the floor. She was practically taking off her dress to find her vows. And then later on, they talk about Elijah Wan asking who consummated their relationship. Like I'm all over the place because I'm trying to get all of these little details about what was transpiring after these conversations had happened. So Michael and Jasmina had admitted that they have not consummated their relationship. Clearly, Lindsay has because she was talking about how she loves him and he's the one and what have you. Like, how do you even know that? You barely know the guy. You've been like on day three of this whole honeymoon thing. So then right away, you know that he's the one. And Mark is on the other side wondering, unless I called him Mike again because I can't remember. But anyway, Mark is on the other side wondering how he is going to deal with her. So, anyway, fast forward towards the end of the episode when they're having this argument. It turns out to an argument because Mark brings up the fact that he wants to take things slow and he wants to pull back on the lovey-dovey, etc. I don't know, maybe Mark's delivery wasn't correct because you already saw Lindsay's face change. She already pulled back. She's already on defense and hate mode. Okay. Like she's not feeling it at all. And she's pissed, and rightly so, because how are you going to be this person? I got your back, and don't worry, I'm going to take care of you, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden you turn around, listen, we got to pull it back some. Let's slow down. Let's stop being lovey dovey. That would get anybody upset. Of course, she clapped back, talking about to stop the farting and clogging up the toilet with shit. I was like, no, she did not go there. But she did. Not surprised. Not surprised. So it ended basically on a cliffhanger with them arguing. I don't know if he went to another room, but she was pretty much done with him at that moment. And finally, now let's talk about Alyssa and Chris. Alyssa and Chris have been the most talked about couple from what I'm seeing all over YouTube, all over the blogs. Alyssa isn't happy. It is very, very clear. I was on Twitter a couple of days ago, I think, when the episode aired last week on Wednesday, because, like I said, today's Wednesday, so there's a new episode coming this week. And there was a girl who called her the B word. And I'm like, like, why? Come correct with your explanation if that's what you're calling her. Because this is the way I look at it, okay? Alyssa, I believe, made every effort from the beginning. But something about Chris, it just put her off. And I don't think it was the friend. It was like, it was in addition to the friend, if you get what I'm saying. It kind of like piled on. She's not into this man. End of story. And I think any woman or any man or anybody for that matter, when you're not into your partner, you're just not going to be connected. She's not connected with him on any level. She even admitted just looking at him physically, it didn't turn her on. It didn't do anything for her. She was even concerned about saying it because on some point they had he I guess he wanted to go like scuba diving or something like that, and she was like, "Well, I don't do things like that." And she was watching him. I could say what I thought. Whatever the case may be, she just was not turned on. She walked away while he was busy swimming along and getting at one with nature. She was talking to the producer saying that she had spoken with her mom, and her mom is like pushing her, like, give it a chance, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know what's going on. Like, something isn't right in this situation. Like, why is her mother forcing her to be with somebody that she is not into? It's very simple. So to for me, okay, it doesn't make her the B word because she's not into him and that she doesn't like him. In comparison to Haley and Jacob, they were in a similar situation. Haley clearly was not into Jacob at all. For whatever reason it was, it just the chemistry was not there and they got a divorce. End of story. She was able to make it through most of the show. Are we gonna see that with Alyssa and Chris? Like, are we gonna see Alyssa constantly crying and struggling with the fact that she's not into this dude for whatever reason that is? And he's all in his head, well, I'm trying to make this work. Well, I'm trying to make this work. Dude, like, you don't see what's going on. What are you trying to make work? You haven't even been next to the girl since the wedding, since wedding night. You were not in the same room with her. Who knows if you sat next to her on the plane. She went a different way when you got off the plane. You haven't slept in the same room during the honeymoon. You have barely spent time together. And then what happens when she's talking to the producer and she sees him coming? What does she say? Tell him to stay over there. I don't want him here. I don't want him near me. I hate him. That's what she said. So if that makes her a B, I don't know. Have you not withstood somebody in the past where you just were at a place you just couldn't be around them for whatever reason that was? I know I have. And you know what? Maybe people called me a B because of it. So be it. There are just some people that you can't be in the same room with them for whatever reason that is. So these experts that claim that on paper everything looks about right. Look, paper doesn't hold anything, right? They don't have feelings. You can fold it and it's still going to be the same thing. You can't compare to what's written on paper, what people are writing on answers, and then think that you can bring two live people together and that it's going to work. Did it work with Chris and Paige? I don't think so. So, Married at First Sight is coming tonight. I'm very curious to know what is going to happen with the couples, whether or not they stay in that shared apartment building or whatever the case may be, and more will be revealed. So, thank you so much for watching this blog and staying with me. And of course, I'll be creating more blogs. And with all that being said, always remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and most importantly, take care of you. Bye, everybody.